He was a billionaire, powerful, admired, untouchable. And she was just the maid's daughter. At his grand charity gala, under golden lights and applause, this little girl did something no one could explain. She ran straight toward him and kicked the wine glass out of his hand in front of hundreds of people. The crowd gasped, cameras flashed. Everyone thought she had lost her mind, even her mother. But 60 seconds later, the chandelier above him came crashing down. And in that single moment, the truth about why she did it changed everything: his pride, his life, and his heart.
My name is Maya, and I never thought the night I made a billionaire furious would be the same night I saved his life. The Cole Foundation Charity Gala was the kind of event people in town dreamed of being invited to: chandeliers dripping with crystals, music that shimmered through the air, and tables lined with gold-rimmed glasses. Everyone wore smiles as polished as their shoes, and every conversation sparkled with money. My mother, Rosa, had worked for Mr. Adrian Cole for nearly 6 years. She called him a good man who forgot how to see real people. She was proud to work in his estate, a place where every marble hallway echoed with quiet power. That night, she was part of the staff serving champagne and hors d'oeuvres while I waited backstage, helping where I could. I wasn't supposed to be seen. Children didn't belong at billionaire galas. But I had always been curious. From the crack between the velvet curtains, I watched him, Adrian Cole, tall, confident, and smiling for every camera flash. His fiancée, Catherine, clung to his arm like a diamond accessory, her beauty sharp enough to cut glass. Everyone adored her. They said she was perfect, graceful, charming, sophisticated. But I knew the truth long before anyone else. 3 days earlier, I had been in the study polishing the silver trays while my mother worked upstairs. Catherine came in, talking on the phone, not realizing I was there. Her voice was smooth and cold. "Yes, it'll happen at the gala," she had said. "The chandelier is set to fall right above him during the toast. I'll act shocked, of course. By the time anyone figures it out, I'll already be the grieving fiancé." I froze, my heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I didn't understand everything, but I understood enough. She wanted to hurt him, to kill him. That night, I tried to tell my mom. She said I must have misunderstood, that adults sometimes said strange things. But I knew what I heard. Catherine's words had burned into me like a brand. And now, standing behind the curtains, I watched the scene unfolding exactly as she had described. The chandelier glittered above Adrian's head like a crown of light, beautiful, heavy, deadly. The speeches began. Laughter rippled through the hall. Catherine's hand slid down Adrian's arm as she whispered something that made him smile. The orchestra swelled, the servers moved gracefully between tables, and every pair of eyes gleamed with admiration for the couple who seemed perfect. But I couldn't move. My pulse raced, my palms slick with sweat. I could hear the faint creak of the chandelier's chain. I could feel that something was about to happen. Adrian raised his glass, preparing for the toast. "To love," he said, his voice echoing. "To loyalty." And that's when I did it. I ran from behind the curtain, my small shoes clacking against the marble, and jumped. I didn't think, I just moved. With all the strength my 10-year-old legs could gather, I kicked the wine glass straight out of his hand. The glass flew into the air, the red wine arcing like a ribbon before splattering across his crisp white shirt. The room gasped, the music stopped, every head turned. Adrian's face twisted from shock to disbelief. What on earth? Catherine stepped forward, her voice dripping with venomous sweetness. "Who is this child?" My mother ran toward me, horrified. "Maya, what are you doing? Apologize right now." But I couldn't speak. I pointed upward instead, trying to form words, my breath trembling. The chandelier." And then, before anyone could react, the sound came. A sharp crack like a gunshot, The chain snapped. The chandelier plunged down, smashing into the table where Adrian had stood just seconds earlier. Glass exploded across the floor like falling stars. People screamed. Chairs toppled. Catherine let out a shrill cry, a real one this time, not the kind you practice. Adrian stumbled back, his shirt drenched in wine, staring at the wreckage in stunned silence. I stood frozen, heart hammering in my chest, the smell of dust and shattered crystal filling the air. If I hadn't kicked that glass, if I hadn't run out there, he would have been standing right beneath it. Security rushed in. Guests swarmed around Catherine, who clung to Adrian's arm, pretending to faint. My mother pulled me close, her hands shaking. "Are you hurt?" she whispered. I shook my head, tears brimming. "I tried to tell them, Mama, I really did." Adrian's eyes met mine from across the chaos. For a moment, I saw confusion, anger, and then realization. He looked up at the broken chandelier, then down at me. His lips parted, but no sound came. Everyone thought I'd lost my mind, but I'd just saved his life. The next few minutes blurred together, the crash, the shouting, the sharp smell of burnt wiring mixed with spilled champagne. Guests huddled together in panic while servers tried to guide them out. The orchestra instruments still hummed from their last note, frozen in eerie silence. Adrian Cole stood motionless, his face pale under the golden chandelier light now flickering above the wreckage. For a man who commanded boardrooms and moved markets, he suddenly looked human, shaken. Catherine was the first to speak. "That child could have killed someone," she hissed, her voice trembling between fury and fear. "She saved you," I whispered, but it came out too soft. Adrian turned to my mother. "Who is she?" Rosa clutched my shoulders protectively. "She's my daughter, sir. I'm so sorry, she didn't mean." But I stepped forward before she could finish, trembling yet certain. "I did mean to." The entire ballroom seemed to go still. Even the chandeliers above seemed to hold their breath. Catherine crossed her arms, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "How dare you speak like that? You ruined my fiancé's night." I looked up at Adrian. "No, I ruined your death." Gasps filled the room. My mother's hand shot over my mouth, mortified. "Maya." But it was too late. The words had already landed. Adrian frowned. "What do you mean by that?" I hesitated, looking around at the glittering crowd, people who had no idea what really lived beneath the surface of their golden world. My small voice trembled but didn't break. "She was going to hurt you. The chandelier. She said it would fall during the toast." Laughter erupted. Not cruel, but nervous disbelief twisting into mockery. One of the guests whispered, "Oh, the imagination of children." Catherine gave a brittle laugh, pressing her hand to her chest. "Adrian, she's clearly frightened. Maybe she heard something on TV." But I shook my head, tears hot on my cheeks. "No, I heard you on the phone. You said it would happen at the gala. You said you'd act shocked." The room's atmosphere shifted. Just slightly, but enough for everyone to feel it, that sharp drop when truth cuts through pretense. Catherine's smile stiffened. "Adrian, she's lying." "You can't believe." "Security," Adrian interrupted, his voice low but steady. "Get everyone out." "Adrian." "Now." The staff ushered guests out, murmurs echoing through the hall like waves receding from the shore. Within minutes, only 5 people remained: Adrian, Catherine, my mother, me, and the head of security. The silence was heavy, broken only by the faint crackle of the broken light fixture above. Adrian turned to me. "Tell me exactly what you heard." I repeated every word, every detail, the phone call, the tone, the plan. I told him about the creaking chain, the moment I saw the shadow shift above him. My mother stood frozen, her face pale with disbelief and fear. Catherine scoffed, her voice sharp. You're really listening to this, a child's fantasy. But Adrian's eyes didn't leave mine. Where were you when you heard her? In your study. I was cleaning the silver. She didn't see me. He nodded slowly, then turned toward Catherine. You were in the study that day, weren't you? I remember seeing your coat there. Her face flickered, just a second of something dark. Then came the tears. How could you even think I'd do something so horrible? Adrian's voice was quiet but edged with steel. Because the chandelier didn't just fall, Catherine, it was cut. The maintenance crew just confirmed it. Her tears stopped cold. The silence that followed was like the air before a storm, too still, too heavy. Adrian stepped closer, his eyes locked on her. You would have killed me for money. Catherine's mask cracked, her polished voice trembling with anger now. You were going to sign everything over to your foundation, not to me. You never trusted me, Adrian. You made me feel like a stranger in your life. So you decided to end mine. Her jaw tightened, but she said nothing. The truth hung in the air between them, poisonous and undeniable. My mother held my hand tightly. Sir, please don't take it out on her. Maya only wanted to. Adrian cut her off gently. Your daughter saved my life. I owe her everything. Catherine's face twisted into something ugly. Saved you. She humiliated you. You'll never get your dignity back. But Adrian didn't flinch. He looked down at me again, his expression softening for the first time that night. Sometimes dignity is worth losing for the truth. The security team led Catherine away as she shouted his name, her voice echoing through the marble hall until the doors closed behind her. When silence returned, Adrian turned to my mother. You both should come with me. We followed him out to the terrace, where the night air smelled of roses and rain. The sky was painted in fatting gold, and the sound of crickets carried faintly from the garden. He looked out over the estate, his voice low. I built all this thinking it meant something. Wealth, power, influence. But it takes a child's courage to remind me what really matters. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded, clutching my mother's hand. Adrian smiled faintly. Maya, you didn't just save my life tonight. You saved my soul. The words didn't feel real until he knelt, eye level with me, and said them again. His voice cracked just slightly. Thank you. The lights of the mansion glowed behind him, bright and warm, like the world itself had changed color. The next morning, sunlight poured through the mansion's tall windows, spilling across polished marble floors that seemed too quiet now. The aftermath of the gala had left behind only traces, broken glass, wilting roses, and the echo of things people wished they hadn't said. My mother and I woke early. She was nervous, packing in our small room in the staff quarters. We're going to be sent away, Maya, she murmured, wringing her hands. Even if he knows you saved him, rich people don't like being embarrassed in front of their guests. I wanted to believe she was wrong. I wanted to believe good things could happen, even in houses built on pride. At 8 sharp, there was a knock at the door. My mother opened it to find Mr. Cole's assistant standing there with a polite smile. Mr. Cole would like to see you both, she said. The walk down the hallway felt endless. My mother held my hand so tightly it almost hurt. When we entered his study, I half expected to see anger, the kind that hid behind politeness. But Adrian Cole didn't look angry. He looked tired, thoughtful, changed. He rose from behind his mahogany desk, his once perfect posture softened. Good morning, he said quietly. Please sit. My mother began to apologize before we even sat down. Sir, I can't tell you how sorry we are for the disruption. Maya didn't. He held up a hand. Rosa, you don't owe me an apology. Your daughter is the reason I'm alive today. That was the first time he smiled. Not the charming, practiced smile from magazine covers, but a real one, small and fragile. He turned to me. Maya, do you know why I host that charity gala every year? I shook my head. It's supposed to be about helping children. Orphans, students, kids without chances. But I realized last night I've never truly understood what courage looks like until I saw you. My mother's eyes welled with tears. I sat very still, not sure what to say. He continued, voice steady but warm. You risked everything, humiliation, punishment, disbelief, and you didn't hesitate. You saw the truth and you acted. That's what I wish I'd been brave enough to do once upon a time. From the side table, he picked up a small box and handed it to me. Inside was a delicate silver locket shaped like a heart. When I opened it, there was a tiny inscription. For the girl who saw what others ignored. It belonged to my mother, he said softly, and now it belongs to you. I could barely breathe. Thank you, sir, I whispered. My mother wiped her eyes. Mr. Cole, I don't know how to thank you. He looked at her kindly. You already have. From now on, you're not a housekeeper in my home, you're the head of staff, with full salary, benefits, and your own quarters. You've earned it. My mother gasped, covering her mouth in disbelief. And Maya, he added, turning back to me, you're going back to school, right? I nodded. He smiled again. Good, because you're going to the best one. The foundation will cover your full scholarship all the way through university. Consider it an investment in the kind of person the world needs more of. I didn't cry then. I didn't even speak. I just threw my arms around him, and for the first time, he hugged back, not like a billionaire, not like a man trying to fix his image, but like someone who finally understood what real wealth meant. That afternoon, reporters swarmed the estate, hungry for the story. Billionaire nearly killed in gala accident, the headlines said. They called me the little girl who saved him, but no one really knew the whole truth. Only a few of us did, and that was enough. Catherine left the country soon after. Her name faded from the tabloids as quickly as her charm had faded from his life. Adrian Cole changed after that. He still ran his empire, but something in him softened. He started visiting the schools his foundation built. Sometimes, he even came to see me at mine, sitting quietly in the back of the classroom, smiling when he saw my grades pinned on the board. He never talked about that night, not once, but I knew he hadn't forgotten. Neither had I. Years later, when I was older, I asked him once why he didn't hate Catherine for what she did. He looked at me for a long time and said, because hatred would have finished what she started. That stuck with me, the way truth sometimes sounds softer than anger, but carries far more weight. Now, when I look back on that night, I don't remember the crash or the fear or the people whispering. I remember the light, golden and bright, falling through the chandelier right before it broke, as if the world was giving me one last warning and one final chance to act. I was just a little girl who ruined a billionaire's gala, but in the process, I learned something the whole world forgets too easily. Sometimes you have to cause chaos to save what's good. Sometimes you have to make someone angry to save their life. What would you have done if you were Maya? Speak up or stay silent. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories of truth, courage, and poetic revenge.